Hi, I'm Bridget, and thank you so much for joining me today for this super slow and stretchy full body stretch. And we're going to get started today in our tabletop for our cat-cow. So make your way onto the hands and knees. We're going to stack the shoulders above the wrists and the hip points above the knees, pressing down into the tops of the feet. And then see if you can start to flatten out through the spine here. Hug the belly button back towards the spine and draw the shoulders away from the ears. We're going to spread the fingers really nice and wide and press down into all 10 fingerprints. Once you get there, we're going to start to warm up through the spine a little bit. So on our inhale, we're slowly going to start to curl the tailbone up, drop through the belly and send the chest forward, squeeze the shoulder blades back together, and maybe looking up if it feels okay through the head and the neck. On our exhale, we'll start at the tailbone again here, so curling it down, rounding through the spine, and then dropping the top of the head down towards your mat. Nice and strong through the arms here. Inhale, we curl the tailbone up and drop through the belly. Send the chest forward. And then see if you can sync the movement up with your breath. So breathing nice and slowly here. Warming up through the spine. Really slowing down each movement. And maybe just noticing any places in the body that feel like they need a little bit of extra attention. So you might like to move the hips a little bit side to side here, drawing the left shoulder down towards the left hip, maybe looking back. And then right shoulder down to the right hip, maybe looking back. Just a nice little opening through the side body. So finding any movement here in your cat-cow that you feel like you need in your body today. And then coming back through center. Stay with the breath. And we'll take one more. And then make our way back to our tabletop. From here, we're going to find our puppy pose. And this is a really great one, even though it can feel a little bit intense sometimes, just because a lot of the times we're sitting at a desk or whatever sort of activities, if you're on your phone or on a computer all day, we start to sort of round through the shoulders, and this just sort of helps to open everything up a little bit more. So we're going to drop the elbows down right where the palms were. So have a look at where the hands are and then bring the elbows down. We're going to send the hands forward. See if you can keep the forearms a little bit parallel here, and we can adjust them after. So once you've set up through the arms, we're going to start to walk the knees back and then sink the chest down towards the mat. You can let your forehead rest on the mat here. If this feels like a little bit too much through the arms, you can just walk the hands a little bit wider into a bit more of a V shape to give you a little bit more space here. And while you're in your puppy pose, see if you can squeeze the shoulder blades back together and sink the chest down towards your mat. You can relax through the belly here. Seeing if you can keep those legs nice and parallel here too. So our knees are in line with the hips and then the feet are in line with the knees. Toes are pointing back. We're spreading the fingers nice and wide here, pressing down into the fingerprints. Inhale, feeling the upper body stretch. And exhale, melting down towards your mat. Breathing really nice and deeply here, so seeing if you can lengthen your inhale and lengthen your exhale. We'll take one more deep breath here. And then slowly we're going to transition into our Sphinx pose. So pressing down into the hands, you might like to walk them in a little bit close here, pressing down into the elbows. We're going to look forward towards the hands and then slowly shift the weight forward. You should have the elbows underneath the shoulders here, hands are still reaching forward, so you might need to adjust a little bit here. Pressing down into the tops of the feet, we lift the knees away from our mat and press into the hips, and then we open up through heart space, so draw the shoulder blades together and away from the ears. I like to imagine something wrapping behind my chest and then pulling it forward. Nice and tall through the neck here. Nice soft gaze. Staying with the breath. And then exhale, we'll lower to the belly and we'll find our cobra. So the rest of the body stays exactly where it is. We're just going to bring the palms underneath the shoulders this time and inhale. We press to lift the chest and the hands are just here for support. See if you can really use those upper back muscles to lift you into your cobra. Shoulders are still drawing down away from the ears and back together. Exhale, we lower. 2 more just like that. Inhale, we lift. And exhale, we lower. 1 more. Inhale, we lift. And exhale to lower. Awesome. We're going to make our way back into our downward facing dog. So come back up through your tabletop, back up onto the hands and knees. And then we're going to walk the hands forward just an inch or two, tuck the toes under and then press to lift the knees away from your mat and send the hips back. Finding that nice length through the spine, so imagining a nice long line from the top of the head right back down to the tailbone so you can bend the knees as much as you need to here. Take a moment to stretch into the backs of the legs, so pedaling the feet a little bit, dropping one heel and then the other. And then we find stillness here for a moment in our downward facing dog. So from here, we're going to open up through the hips a little bit more. So we're going to walk the left foot to the center, so step it in a little bit. We're going to ground down through the left heel and inhale to our 3-legged dog. So lift that right leg up and then see if you can level out the hips and turn those right toes down. We're going to bend into that right knee and then the rest of the body stays exactly where it is. We're just going to draw that right knee in towards the chest, send it out to the side and then back up and around. 2 more just like that. Right knee in towards the chest, out to the side, back up and around. Last one, we draw it in, opening up through the hips. And then we place that right foot back down and take it to the other side. So wiggle that right foot to the middle a little bit here. And again, the rest of the body stays exactly where it is as we find our 3-legged dog on this side. So we lift that left leg up. Again, see if you can level out the hips here and turn those left toes down. Nice and long through the spine here as well. We're going to bend into that left knee and find those nice big circles on this side. So draw the left knee in towards the chest, out to the side, back up and around. 2 more on this side. Nice and strong through the arms here. And the last one, we draw it in towards the chest, out to the side, back up and around. We'll step that left foot back down to meet the right and we'll find our child's pose here. So sink the knees down to your mat, untuck the toes, and then we let the hips come down to rest on the heels. Reaching nice and long through the arms, you can come down to rest on the forehead. Maybe just going for a little bit of a rock from side to side.
Breathing deeply here in your child's pose. You can close down the eyes if you haven't already. Just taking a moment to check in with how you feel. And then we'll slowly make our way back into our tabletop. Take your time to get there, set yourself up, and then we're going to make our way to our low lunge. So if you've got some blocks or something that you can bring the hands up onto to give you a little bit more space, that can be super helpful, because we're going to step the right foot forward between the hands. So take your time to get there. You might need to work out where you need a little bit more space, so it can help to sort of lift the hands away while you're stepping forward. And then when you're ready, find that low lunge. So we've got the right foot forward between the hands, and you can untuck those left toes. Find a little bit of space through the shoulders here. So again, draw them down away from the ears. Notice how you feel here. You might go for a little rock from side to side. And then from here, we're going to tuck the left toes under and find our half splits. So tuck those left toes under. We start to walk the hands back as we straighten through the right leg, and then draw those right toes back towards the chest and draw the chest towards the toes. You should feel a nice stretch through the back of that right leg. You can bring a nice generous bend into that right knee here. Sending the breath to the back of that leg, and then we'll walk it back into our low lunge. Before we move away from our low lunge, we're going to find a little bit of a quad stretch here. So keep the right fingertips down towards your mat, and then see if you can reach the left hand back, maybe turning back to look at that left leg. And you might just stay here reaching, or you might see if you can start to lift that left foot away from your mat. Maybe catch a hold of that left foot and then draw it in towards you. This should feel like a really nice deep stretch here. You can start to open up through the chest a little bit more here, so drawing that left shoulder back and opening up to the side. And then we'll slowly release that left foot back down. Come back to your lunge and send the hips back so that you can bring the right knee back to meet the left. We come back to our tabletop, and you might just like to stretch the legs out behind you. Maybe taking a couple of circles of the hips again here. Checking in with how you feel, maybe noticing how the right side feels compared to the left after that little stretch. And then when you're ready, we'll find that low lunge on the other side. So walk the hands forward a little bit here and step that left foot forward between the hands. Again, take your time to get there. You might need to adjust, grab some blocks. But again, just take your time. We've got that left foot step forward between the hands here. Opening up through the chest, draw the shoulder blades down. Find a little bit of movement. Maybe rocking a little bit side to side. You might like to try lifting the fingertips away from your mat. And then when you're ready, we'll find our half split. So we'll tuck those right toes under and then start to walk the hands back as we straighten through the left leg this time, and draw the toes back towards the chest, send the chest towards the toes. This is another one as well where having some blocks nearby can be super helpful. Or if you don't have blocks, just anything that you can sort of use to give you a little bit of space to help you balance. I really like using my blocks. I don't know why I don't have them right now either. So yeah, whatever you can use that is going to make everything feel a little bit more comfortable. But you also don't need them if you don't have them. And then slowly we'll make our way back into our low lunge and find our quad stretch on this side. So keeping the left fingertips down towards your mat, we're going to reach the right hand back, maybe turning back to see if you can see that right leg. And then maybe you can start to lift that right foot away from your mat and catch a hold of it with the right hand and start to draw it in towards the glutes. Opening up to the side a little bit here, so draw that right shoulder blade back. Stay with the breath. And then slowly we'll release. Come back to that lunge and then make our way back to our tabletop. So bring the left knee back to meet the right. Stretch the legs out behind you. Take a couple of circles. And then we'll find our child's pose again here. So bring the knees together, feet together, sink the hips down and reach forward through the arms. You can stay in this variation of your child's pose, or if you'd like to take a wide-legged variation, you can just bring the knees a little bit wider, as wide as your yoga mat. Sink the hips back down, reaching forward through the arms, resting down on the forehead. And again, just taking this moment of stillness to check in with how you feel. We're not judging anything. Just noticing. And just knowing that every day will feel different. And then nice and slowly we're going to move to seated. So take your time to get there. I'm coming back on, through tabletop, crossing one heel over the other, and then making my way to seated. But whatever works best for you, just find a nice comfortable seated position for just a moment. Sitting up nice and tall, so finding a nice long line from the top of the head right down to the tailbone. Drop the shoulders. And then from here, we're going to find our half butterfly. So send the right leg out at about a 90-degree angle. We keep that left foot in nice and close. We're going to start to turn the body so that the chest is towards those right toes. And again, we're drawing those right toes back towards us. You can keep a nice little bend through that right knee as well here. As we start to walk the hands forward, send the chest towards the toes, and then slowly round forward. So you can relax through the head and the neck here. Just let the hands rest wherever feels comfortable. Nice and active through the right foot. Closing down the eyes if that feels comfortable. And just being with the breath. And then nice and slowly, when you're ready, rolling up through the spine. So let the head and the neck come up last. We walk the hands back in and come back to center, and we'll take it to the other side. So we'll send that left leg out straight this time at about that 90-degree angle. And then draw that right foot in towards you. We'll turn the upper body to face that left foot and then start to send the chest towards the toes. We're drawing those left toes back towards us. Walk the hands forward. See if you can send the chest towards the toes for as long as you can, and then start to round through the upper body. Relax through the head and the neck. Breathing into the back of the leg. You might start to feel a little bit of opening through the side body here as well. Closing down the eyes. And then slowly we'll start to roll it back up. Take your time, letting the head come up last.
And then we're going to make our way back to lie down. So again, take your time to get there. We're going to keep the knees bent. Take a moment to get out any little wigglies if you need to stretch or get comfortable. And then we're going to bring the soles of the feet together and let the knees fall apart into our Supta Baddha Konasana. You can just let the arms rest out to either side, or you might like to bring one hand to heart space and one hand to the belly as you start to reconnect with the breath here. Again, closing down the eyes if that feels comfortable. Letting the body get really heavy. You might like to stay here for a little while longer. Feel free to pause the video. Otherwise, we're gently going to make our way to our shavasana. So sending the legs out nice and long. The arms come to either side, and again, just give yourself a moment to get comfortable so that you can come to a place of stillness for a couple of moments. Just allowing yourself to be with the breath, to become really present in this moment. Letting the breath return to normal. And letting yourself melt down towards your mat a little bit more with each exhale. Seeing if there's anywhere that you can let go a little bit more. And I'm going to leave you here in your shavasana today. So you might like to close your practice with me, or you might like to stay here for a little while longer. Thank you so much for joining me for this practice today. I hope you're feeling amazing, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next time. Namaste.